in the community, and you need people to work. You cannot be working in our community and then you are bringing people from outside to come and work in the company.
And get paid.
Do you understand? It doesn't even make sense. So how do you want that? That's why you employ people from the community, so that through that they are also benefiting, through that you are also employing them, you are building them too as well. So
all right, so my other question is, if I look at a typical CDA document, what are some of the things I would see?
Okay, if you look at a typical CJ document, part of the things you see is the agreement process, the kind of things that should, the people that are supposed to be part of the signing process, then the things that are supposed to be signed, the projects for the community, samples and all. There are a lot of things embedded in the CDA agreement policy.
All right, before we go on our first commercial break, my other question on this topic of CDAs is, I have a CDA, right? It's an agreement here. We talked about different projects. So, hypothetically speaking again, this company is supposed to be in this community for, say, 2 years. The CDA agreement can, say for example, I want to build a road.
Yeah.
Is it possible that the time frame for that CDA can exceed the time when the company would be in the community, or must it be within the time frame of, you know what, if you are here for 2 years, whatever you are doing for us must be done within these 2 years?
Yes, because in the first place, right, if you are signing if a company, let me start with this, if a company is coming into a community, when you get all your licensing documents, it has a time frame.
Okay.
Yes, so you keep on renewing that
the time
document.
frame should be there.
Yes, so you keep on renewing that document. That's the first place. So it means that if you are mining in our community, you have a space of, let's say, 1 or 2 years, right? So whatever project you're supposed to do, you're supposed to do within that time frame. Because what if you finish and you go and then you are not able to do complete the project you were supposed to do? So whatever project or whatever has been signed on the CDA should be done within the time frame.
All right, my other last question, because I just spoke, something popped in my head. Now, when a company gets a license, you mentioned is time framed. However, I imagine that even within that time frame, there is a financial projection of how much this company is supposed to get. Is there a mathematical calculation? You know, for example, when we do taxing, they say you must pay 5% tax, 10% tax, 50% tax. Is there a mathematical calculation that says, because you're staying for this amount of years, because we project that you're going to extract this amount, this value from this community, you have to give a certain percentage to them? Is that part of the law? Is it something that's being looked at, or if it exists at all?
Like I said, most times what the community does, what the mining community does is do projects for the communities, right? But you pay royalties to the government.
Okay.
So that is where you generate revenue for the state. When you have mining companies that mine, right? Yes. There's a certain amount you pay, depending on what you the volume of what you get. Okay. There's a certain amount you pay to the government, what is called royalty. So that money is sent to the federal government. The federal government at the end of the year will calculate and send back to the state 13% derivative. Okay. Yes, to every state that where mining takes place, and that is why we advocate that things should be done properly, so that there won't be that leakage of revenue generation. All
right, so let's go on our first commercial break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversations around CDAs. If you have any questions at all or want to make contributions to the show, remember, you can call into the studio lines on 090-5566-6699 or 081-218-77777. This is still Voices from the Mines, brought to you by Ziva Community Initiative.
Every Friday on JFM, Energy Transition and Climate Change Mitigation in Center Stage, explaining the role of ASM in energy transition and climate change mitigation in Nigeria. Advocate and campaign for a full implementation of the Nigeria Energy Transition Plan and other global policies and treaties. Join Emeka Umesi and our seasoned resource persons on the role of artisanal and small-scale miners in energy transition and climate change mitigation in Nigeria. Fridays 9 to 10 a.m. only on JE 101.9 FM. Powered by Ziva Community Initiative advocates for a sustainable community with support from Africa Center for Energy Policy.
You're still on to Voices from the Mind, small-scale miners in energy transition and climate change mitigation in Nigeria. And this program is sponsored by Ziva Community Initiative with support from the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP. And today we're speaking to the programs officer, Mrs. Mary. I'm talking about what CDA means, what are some of the things we see in the CDA document, some of the issues that communities and mining companies deal with when it comes to CDAs. And my other question, you made mention of the government. What role does the government play in CDA? Again, I asked before if they were actors, referees. So if you were to paint a picture for us, what does the government do? Are they actively involved in CDA? Do they say, no, that is not going to work? How exactly do they come in when CDA agreements are being made?
Okay, the government play a role in CDA because from the signing agreement, from the moment where the process starts, they are part of it. They monitor the process. And after every, when CDA documents have been signed by all the community, by the parties from the community, by the companies, right? The government too have a copy of that CDA.
Okay.
Yes, from the federal ministry. So every CDA that have been signed are followed through the thorough processes. The government monitor it. That is why they are important, because even after when the project starts, when the mining community start, they also follow up in monitoring if they are actually doing what they are supposed to do. Yes.
All right. So the government follows up to know if these communities or these corporations and companies are doing what they should do.
Yeah.
You can be a part of the conversation by calling into the studio lines on 09055666699 or 08121877777. We're talking community development agreement this morning, what it means and how the process goes on between the mining corporation or mining companies in this situation, the community and the government. Well, from your experience, working with communities for as much long as you have done, what are some of the issues, major issues you've dealt with and you've seen when it comes to CDAs between communities and corporations?
Okay, from our experience from working with mining host communities, one of the things we've noticed and from our conversations with the communities is the fact that the mining companies are not actually doing what they are supposed to do. Like I said, we've been to so many communities in Nasarawa, in Plateau State, and then what we see is the fact that you hear that the mining company are here, they have been mining for years, but there is nothing to show for it. And that is where Ziva comes in. Now, we've done a training to artisanal and small-scale miners some years back, even last year in Plateau here in Nasarawa. And one of the things we train them on is how to speak for your community, how to demand for your rights. The questions you should ask when you see mining communities come into your community. Don't always sit and allow them do what they should just do and leave. Ask questions. Have they been registered? Do they have the license to mine first? If they have, okay, where is their CDA agreement with your community? So those are the kind of things we always train them on, so that they will be able to speak up for their communities. And from our stories, we
whereby it's supposed to be everyone in the community as they are able to do a process. Once the community as they are able to do a process, once they are those kind of people, especially traditional leaders that have been in community that have been achieving the benefit of the mining for a very long time. That is the question I want to ask. Thank you very much, God bless.
All right, thank you so much. Did you get the question?
Yeah, I
All right.
do.
Okay. Let's complete one more call before you answer the question.
All right.
090-5566-669 and 08121877777. All right. You want to answer the question Sadiq Kumar asked?
Okay. He asked how the mining communities come into the communities, and he mentioned that some of them are illegal. Now that is why we say people that are mining companies that are registered. It means they are not illegal, right?
Yeah.
We are not talking about the ones that are coming illegal. We are talking about the ones that are properly registered, the ones that have followed all the due process they are supposed to follow. Those are the ones we are talking about. That is why we say we are advocating that things should be done properly. Mining should be done properly. That is the first question. The second question he asks about traditional leaders that are benefiting. Yes, that is why we do awareness. And that is why we say to constantly engage with stakeholders, right? So that we speak to them on the things they should know, because some of them, they don't know these things. That is why we, like I said, from the training, from this training now, you see, they will do a step down even to their own traditional leaders. They might not be there for the training, but they have gotten an impact from the people that were present for the training.
All right. Let's pick one more call. Hello. Good morning. Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, Richard.
No, this is not Richard. My name is Chukwe Mecca, not Richard.
Okay, people, good morning. This is Solomon Adana, the first one, you get for the question.
Please go on, sir.
I want to